Patterson blasts all that. Diving save hard as he flashes across. Briere sends up Carl, side of the net, deflected, score! Briere moving in, stops, cuts to the middle, still has it, shot! Score! Here's Hughes giving it across. Oh, it's right out, save! Save by Maher! He's an angle! Short-handed mid! He scores! Cruising his Provorov. He scores! Ivan Provorov!
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Flyered Up Podcast. I'm your host, Amedeo Grassia, along with my partner, Chris Maher. As always, we are live streaming on the Painted Lines, TTP Sports, and Flyers Fan Mania 93, along with a bunch of other Twitter pages and Facebook pages. So, if somehow you do not find us, I find you really crazy and just oblivious. But if you somehow don't find a live stream, we'll be always on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast at. And I'm just looking at the comment section already. Joel Fairman, what the hell are you doing? I just see so many comments from you saying W pod, plug walk, and like, what, are you okay there, buddy? Are you good? Going on a little too much sugar? You're high there, buddy? You're just going crazy in the comment section. But also welcome, Joel Fairman. It's always nice to have you. Same thing with you, Renee. Definitely, let's go Flyers. So a couple of things to talk about tonight. So we'll bring up the past weekend game from the Flyers against the Calgary Flames, the dud that they had out in Calgary.
The thick dud.
We also have the upcoming game against the terrible Arizona Coyotes. That is a must win. You cannot lose to that team and give them their first win. And also some more news about, once again, Ryan Ellis is not going to be playing tomorrow. Is still considered day-to-day. Honestly, you should just change it to week at this point, because who the hell knows when he is going to be playing, because it's kind of getting, a little annoying that he's not in the lineup and they just don't know when he's going to be playing. But I understand wanting to play it safe, just so you don't want to run the risk of a long-term situation, but I hope nothing is too serious with what's going on with him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're playing it as safe as possible because it's a long season. He's one of your best defensemen. He plays top pair minutes. Plays anywhere from north of 26 minutes a night. So, you want to make sure that he's healthy, he's okay, and all that stuff. And so, again, really, there's no point of rushing him. If he needs the time, that's fine. Braun and Sealer have stepped up really well, so that's perfect. The game in Calgary was like, I was watching something today. It was on my Twitter, and it just came up, and it was Daily Faceoff was talking with Bryce Salvador, and he said something about Calgary, how they give up. They're third in the league at fewest rush chances at 3.5. I'm like, there you go. That's one of the biggest reasons why the Flyers lost, because one of their bread and butters for scoring 25 goals in 6 games was scoring chances off the rush and creating turnovers from your forecheck. And when your goaltender is 6'2", like got to be at least 220, then you put all the pads on him, and Markstrom essentially blocks every dump in the Flyers have.
Exactly.
The Flames quick transition up the ice. That was that. I mean, the Flyers just couldn't do jack shit in that game, and it showed. I mean, it constantly just shift after shift. They just could get nothing going. Again, it's also 3 games in 4 nights. You played well in both those games. You saw they were starting to get tired against Vancouver. So again, it was to get 4 out of a possible 6 points. That was good. Now, the thing is the schedule is kind of like, I feel like it's like a grace from God kind of thing, because it's like, okay, tough road trip, but then it's like, here's a home game against Arizona, and it's like, okay, now you're Pittsburgh and then Washington on the road. It's like, all right, win that game, and it's like, it's just kind of like a trap kind of thing.
Yeah, this is the biggest possible trap out of trap games you can possibly imagine, going up against the Arizona Coyotes, who are winless to start the season. And if I look at their stat leaders right now, it's Shane Gostisbehere who leads them in points with 5 assists in 9 games played. And just looking at the entire team, Clayton Keller only has 4 points. Phil Kessel only has 4 points. He only has 1 goal on the season.
They've only scored 12 goals in 8 games.
Yeah, Andrew Ladd's still playing on this team, surprisingly. He has 2 points on the season. Ryan DeZingle has 2 points. You got Nick Schmaltz, you got Jay Beagle. And then look at their goaltending. They've started 3 goaltenders so far this year. You got Carter Hutton, who's been god-awful this year for them. 3 games started 0-2-0. with a 7.76 goals against average and a .741 save percentage. So yes, he is allowing a lot of goals this year.
Yeah.
Hence probably why he hasn't been starting so much. They started one other guy in Ivan Prosvetov. He's only played in one game. He lost that game. Has a 5 goals against average and an .821 save percentage. And the goaltender who's actually been pretty decent for them, who hasn't won a game yet because they haven't won yet, but his numbers are actually pretty decent. You got Karel Vemelka, who is 0-5 and 1 with a 2.63 goals against and .920 save percentage. So he's been basically the bright spot for that team. This team can't score goals, and they can't win for their lives at this point.
And
that's
the
how bad
Flyers have to just take care of them. I mean, there's legitimately nothing else you can do. I mean, the Penguins are still the Penguins. They're a little banged up with everything.
They just
that's
got
kind of
Crosby back.
on. Yeah, they just got Crosby back. They
I
did
think
just lose the Devils.
I think Letang's still out too.
Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be out for a while, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, you still got Malkin out for at least another month or two.
Yeah.
Is Rust even back yet either, or no?
I don't think so.
I know Carter came back too from the COVID situation he had.
Yeah. And I know some guys were like a little banged up, like Zucker and Aston Reese, but I think they're back as well. But yeah, I mean, again, Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. We know how the Penguins play against the Flyers. So again, it's going to be a tough game going on the road. And then you go right into Washington, who is playing really well. I don't think the Caps have lost in regulation yet, at least the last time I checked.
Do not believe they have at all.
I think they're 4-0-2.
Yes, they are. No, they're 5-1-3. They did recently lose a regulation game.
5-1-3. Okay, yeah. Yeah,
they lost.
Shows you the last time I looked at the standings.
Yeah, they lost today to Tampa Bay 3-2.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I mean, those are going to be 2 tough games. So essentially, the Flyers have to win tomorrow. That's huge. Yes. You're going into Thursday. It's a tough game. And one thing they did say about Ellis is that Flyers are supposed to practice Wednesday. If Ellis doesn't practice, or doesn't practice with the team, it doesn't look like he's going to go on the trip. So if he doesn't, if he's not at practice or he's not practicing with the team or whatever, he's probably not going to be playing in those 2 games. My guess is, if I'm looking at it now, I want to look at this as just for the hell of it, just say he comes back the same game Hayes does. Hayes is looking at November 10th. That's next week. Next Wednesday, I believe, right? Yeah, next Wednesday
against Toronto.
Against Toronto at home. So hopefully Hayes can come back. And again, we've talked about Hayes too. I know there was a comment from Jason saying with Hayes only when he's good to go. Exactly. You don't want to rush him either. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't want to rush these guys, and they're crucial pieces of this team, regardless of how good the Flyers have played so far this year. And you want to be able to keep those guys fresh for, again, you have to think long term. I think a lot of what the Flyers have done is looked long term, from the injury standpoint, from what goaltender gets what game. We've seen Jones in certain games too. So I'm curious to see if Jones plays tomorrow or if they go with Hart. I would assume Hart plays.
Yeah,
but I would think I wouldn't be surprised if Jones plays, honestly.
Yeah, I think with how good Hart played on Saturday, I know the goals look a little skewed, but Hart was basically the only reason they were in that game on Saturday. So I would basically put him in against an easier team, make him build more confidence up in the confidence that he already has, just to try to get hopefully an easy win against a really bad opponent. But we got to forget we can't forget this is a trap game, and sometimes the Flyers in recent history have been, at fault for losing those trap games, especially against those bad teams. But if this team really wants to prove to us that they are different this year, which I do believe they are, they need to beat the bad teams, and Arizona especially. And
that's what the Flyers did with in the 1920 season. They took care of teams. Now, if there is one thing that has been shockingly, not necessarily shockingly, because they weren't really good at it last year either, in the beginning of the year, because through 7 games last year, they actually had the exact same record. They were 4-2-1. But their second periods
have been awful.
This year and last year, they were heavily outshot in second periods last year and in games. In the first 7 games, they outshot a team once, and it was actually the 7th game of the year last season. This year, they've outshot teams a couple times in total, but second periods have been brutally outplayed. The only legit decent second period they played was Florida. Seattle was a blowout, but they got outshot in that period, but outscored them 2-1. So, again, I think honestly, if I'm being honest with you, that Seattle game, that was a lot of like Seattle chances were just like they were shooting from everywhere at that point when it was 5-0. So I don't really want to look at the shots too much into that because that's the thing. When you go back and look at it, you gotta kind of remember certain things from that game, what the quality of the chance and everything. But again, I think the Flyers need to just continue using what they've done in the first and carry it over to the second period because again, you don't want to give a team like Arizona, regardless of how bad they play, they still have some good skill over there. Keller's fantastic. Phil Kessel can score. Like they have some decent skill, so you don't want to just give them chances to give them chances. So yeah, I mean, again, the Flyers just have to take care of business. I mean, that's all it is. And Giroux even said it today. They're taking it one game at a time, so they haven't even thought of the Pittsburgh and Washington games yet, which is good. That's the way you want to be able to take this season and things like that. So, I think overall, if they just take care of business tomorrow, because I'm not really worried about the game. Like, I know the Flyers have lost to Arizona before when they were winless in the 17-18 season, but that team did not have an identity. Not necessarily saying this team does, but that team was way off. Like, we didn't even know if they were a playoff team until like the last couple games of the season because they had one, how tight the Metro was at the time, and two, just everything that kind of.
Yeah, the usual Flyer shtick where they played really good in the month of March and then they squeak into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they it just ebbs and flows where they play good, play bad. Like they didn't have a legit, like solid couple months where they were playing good hockey. But again, like if the Flyers just take care, and these are the games that they have to win. These are games that they had lost in previous years, and that's why they would fight, as just like you said, why they would fight to the last couple months of the season to try to get in because they would lose to teams like Buffalo, Edmonton years ago when they weren't as good before they had McDavid and things like that, or in his rookie year, stuff like that. Like they just were not a team that could just beat up on the teams that they should win. So again, just take care of business. That's really all we're asking for. They lose tomorrow, I think we're in for something, but it's also very early in the season to say we're in for something too. So we'll see what happens. But I think they legitimately need to take care of business tomorrow.
Yeah, and there's 100%. Also some things that I'm looking for tomorrow as well, for especially a specific line, the Brassard line, who I think basically after the Edmonton game, they really looked like they struggled a little bit in Vancouver and Calgary, especially. They got hemmed in their own zone a lot. They really weren't getting as many quality chances as they were in the previous games at home. So this is definitely a game for them to build back their confidence. Farabee he's been a little sluggish as of late before his hot start. So let's see if he can find a way to crack back onto the scoreboard. Same thing with Brassard. And if Atkinson can just pot a couple of more goals, I'll be absolutely fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think Atkinson had one of the Flyers' best chances the other night against Calgary. But that was really it, though. I mean, I do agree. I think that line's kind of been a little quiet. But then again, like, they haven't necessarily had much offense from everyone. And that's why I think they've done the switch on the power play units. Because AV did say he thinks Atkinson can move up, take that spot. JVR goes to the second unit, who's not just really played a good game, just hasn't gotten his bounces really 5-on-5. Potted the first goal against Vancouver of the season. Is for his first goal of the year against Vancouver. In that second game with a beautiful bank pass. And again, the Flyers had another set play against Calgary off the face-off. Like Couturier won it, and Giroux didn't get the best shot because the pass was kind of in his feet, but he could have blasted that one timer. I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, they just keep doing that set play, and it's working. Like, it doesn't matter what they've done, if it's a play off the bank or if it's a cycle or somebody creeps that high for a shot or Konechny sets up in the slot for a one-timer, whatever it is, they're all on the same page and they've done it a lot. So, we've seen it a good amount throughout the season so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if that continues. But I honestly, like tomorrow, I think the biggest thing, like Arizona is also giving up a lot of goals. Just score, just make it like the Seattle game.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do.
Go right from the get-go. Just make them feel like they have no chance of winning this game at all. That's what you have to do to a team like Arizona. Don't give them a fighting chance.
Mm-hmm. Right from the jump, and then carry that over to the second.
Yes,
that's the thing, because you can't have bad periods like they have. Like, you can't go shotless until like the 8-minute mark against Pittsburgh and Washington. If you do, you're losing both of those games unless you miraculously come back in the third or something, but there's just no way you're going to do it.
Yeah,
So,
because it feels weird because the Flyers have actually been getting off the good starts in games, but then because they really haven't been doing that the past couple of years, sometimes it feels like they were a little slow to start the game, then they gradually got better as the game went along. I'm not used to like the team starting good and then in the middle they find a way to break down, then they get better again in the third period.
because the thing is with that team in 1920, they really didn't have any bad flaws during games. Like they had good periods, they had a good start, they would score a lot. I mean, honestly, when the Flyers give up the first goal, those are the games that they've lost. It's every game that they've won. They've won 4 of the 5 games they scored first, and they've actually gotten points in every game that they've scored first. So I believe 7 out of 8 was the home opener scored first, but they lost that game, and that was obviously a shootout. So the other games, Seattle, Boston, Edmonton, and Vancouver, they won all those games and they scored first. So obviously you want to keep that trend going. And yeah, I mean, Seattle just is not, or excuse me, Arizona, they're just not a good team. You just want to be able to beat up on them. And again, it's as I said before, like it just seems like the schedule just kind of gives them that boost of like, okay, here's Arizona, and then go to Pittsburgh.
Here's your preparation for your next tough matchups against Pittsburgh, Washington, and Toronto. Yeah. Have a field day with this team, hopefully, but that's the thing, that they need to have a field day with this team.
Right,
like you cannot lose to this team and then.
For me, honestly, I'm not necessarily worried about the Leafs.
No, I'm not worried about the Leafs either. They've been more of a not hard garbage, but they've really been like iffy to start the season. Yep, that's exactly what Joel Fairman just said. PSA: don't be like the Phillies when you play Arizona.
Yeah, my girlfriend is on my bed with the Flyer podcast is on.
He's got to have his priorities straight.
That's funny.
Yeah, you got it.
Amedeo.
Yes.
Quick question for you: did you do a game review after the Calgary game? You did, right? Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Did you get was there for some reason a very weird algorithm just drop? Because I didn't even crack 100 views.
I have actually almost 200 views. I have 194.
Yeah, I have 93 on that video.
It's weird.
Very, very down on that video. It's actually very surprising because that's the first time since last season I've gotten a video under 100. And I'm like, I don't know if this is the algorithm or maybe just the way people just played, or
people really didn't want to see the recap of a dud or something.
I don't know.
I don't know how I got 194. Maybe I'm getting some of the Calgary fan base. I have no idea, but
maybe I think it's just the algorithm of YouTube.
Maybe come on, YouTube's messing. You got over 1,000 subs. How is the guy with 391 getting more views than you?
Yeah, and it's nothing against your channel. It's just how the hell does that? It just doesn't add up.
And also, hint for the chat, please get my YouTube channel to 400 subs. That'll greatly appreciate
that. Do that.
I got 9 more subs to go.
Yeah, do it. Hit the sub button. If I'm being honest with you, I saw Fox today get the contract, 7 years at 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes me appreciate the Ryan Ellis contract and the Ivan Provorov contract. It's nothing against Fox. He's a great player. But how do you get – I think that – I saw Darren Dreger tweeted it. That is the biggest contract off of an ELC.
For a defenseman.
For a defenseman in NHL history. That is insane.
You got a hand – well, he also won the Norris last year, so I think that also helped put him a little bit of pay grade.
He's 100% worth that deal.
Yes.
But it's
it's really he went from that to the really major extreme, but it's just
right. He went from 925,000 to 9.5 million.
Yeah. Looking at the way the market was settled this year, because there were so many defensemen that got above 9 million this year. Seth Jones, you got Darnell Nurse.
Nurse.
Maher.
Werenski. What did Hughes get?
I don't think Hughes got around. I think he got between 7.5 to 9.5. I think he was around the same as Pettersson in the price range. But I know there were a lot of defensemen this year that got above that. Yeah.
Yeah. But even still, that Provorov makes 6.5.
I think so.
And Ellis, I believe,
makes around the same as Provorov, maybe a little less.
Provy is 6'7", Ellis is 6'2". They're perfect deals. Provorov has 4 years left. Ellis has a lot.
You got
past 26, 27.
You got to handle when Ellis signed that contract. There were no defenseman was making above $9 million a season. And for Ellis's standpoint on Nashville, I don't even think he was the number one defenseman at the time he signed it. He was probably playing in more of the top 4 role.
Yeah, I think so. It was like because they tried to lock up the 4, and it was Ekholm and then Yossi, Ellis, and they had Subban at the time.
They did have
on
Subban
a good deal. And it's weird. Like, there's still some teams like Carolina's playing well, but then again, you gotta ask yourself, like, when do these teams like hit a drop off? You know, unless they don't. Like, are we gonna have a team that's like Tampa again?
It's a possibility.
Where they just have an unbelievable regular season.
That could be a possibility because there are quite a few unbeaten teams so far. You still got Carolina, they're 8-0 to start the season. Florida finally got their first loss of the season in an overtime loss. I think it was against the Boston Bruins, so they're 8-0-1. St. Louis, they're not undefeated anymore. They're 6-1. Yeah, so right now Carolina is the only undefeated team left in the National Hockey League. And it's still weird, too, because if I look at the Metropolitan Division, still every team is at least at or above 500 from 8th to first place.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's 3-3-2. Islanders are 3-2-2. Devils are 4-2-1. Same with the Flyers. Columbus is 5-3-0. Washington 5-1-3. Rangers 6-2-1, and Carolina 8-0.
Yeah. And like the Rangers have played well. Again, it's still so early. That's why I don't want to look at the standings, but you can't ignore how good the Metropolitan Division is right now, and how good it's going to be a dogfight till the end of the season. It's going to be neck and neck. So
yeah, it's going to be crazy going towards the end of the season. But you also got to have also some interesting news as well, because with the Fox contract being signed, you also see Cole Caulfield get sent down to the AHL. So that was something that was a little surprising. But when you look at Montreal right now in the Atlantic Division, they're 2-8-0. So they only have 4 points to start the season. And if you look at Montreal just in general, just from the stat line of the players, Cole Caulfield has not scored a goal at all this season. Right? I think so. He basically has nothing, but he was also playing, I think, third line minutes as well. So he really wasn't put into a spot to succeed, but he also just wasn't producing at the same time. And it's funny, they took him off the stat sheet so quickly. He's not even on here anymore.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing that, well, it really doesn't surprise me. Like the Canadians last year, they got hot. They played well. They were in a shit division in that North Division last year. You have you had the North Division last year where it was Toronto, and that was about it. Like, if I'm being honest, I didn't necessarily see them having a good year this year to kind of follow that up. I thought it would just kind of been like a just kind of the way that the season went for them. They got to the Cup final, but then again,
especially when you don't have Price or Weber at all.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think Caulfield is their problem. Like, why are you? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I guess maybe they don't. I'm not sure. I honestly couldn't tell you what Mark Bergevin's ideas are.
Yeah,
like that city has been trying to run him out of town for the past like decade, and last year was his saving grace because of what they got to the finals. So he got that GM of the Year nomination, and then now this is happening. I'm sure they're putting his pitchforks and torches down to the Bell Center, to get Bergevin fired and out of there. And if I'm looking at the rookies scoring so far, right now Lucas Raymond of the Detroit Red Wings is leading in points for the rookies. 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. Then you got Maurice Sider with 8 points to start the season, all 8 assists. So those two Detroit rookies are top 2 in rookie scoring. And Detroit, honestly, has been pretty, I would say, exciting to start the year with the young talent that they have. They've been really fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've had some good games. I think Cedars 3 of those 4 were the one was a hat trick.
I think so.
Chicago. Yeah, and it looks like the Hawks are better win their first game.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the scores right now, yeah, they're destroying Ottawa by a score of 5-1 with a minute left in the third period. So Chicago is getting that first win of the season, leaving the Arizona Coyotes as the only winless team in the NHL to start the season. So Flyers, hopefully you can continue that streak.
Yeah.
And you got Joel Fairmeme saying Caulfield is greater than Zegras. They said 40 goals incoming. Caulfield for Calder.
Zegras is the one who said 40 goals for him.
He did. I remember that.
I mean, there's still a lot of time. They've only played 10 games. 72. I mean, he's got to get what?
Well, who knows how long he's going to be sent down for.
Yeah. Probably miss a couple games. Watch him go down there and score like 6 points in like 3 games or like 2 games.
Yeah, that probably will happen.
It's
Put him
so
on the
stupid,
first line,
man.
scores 2 goals in his first 2 shifts.
Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense for him. There's no point.
They moved. This is a Soto saying they moved them down to bring up his confidence ? He'll lead the league in goals 100%.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, confidence is a big thing. If he doesn't have it and he agrees with it, then yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily. I mean, who else is like? What's Winnipeg right now?
Winnipeg right now they are 4-2-2.
4-2-2. Like,
yeah.
I think there's a lot of teams that are just middle of the pack.
You got Minnesota, they're 5-3-0. Nashville's 4-4. Colorado was 4-4 at the start of the season. In the Pacific Division, there's a lot of below 500 teams. San Jose, they're 5-3. Anaheim, they're 3-4-3. Vegas is 4-4. And then Calgary with their hot start to the season on a 6-game win streak, currently 6-1-1. So yeah, they've been playing lights out. And Markstrom with 2 shutouts in a row with his in the last game against the Flyers and the win against the Pittsburgh Penguins before that. So even though I would say Saturday's game was more of an easy picking for him, the Flyers really didn't give him much. But he stopped 40 plus shots against Pittsburgh in that shutout, and then he
45 save shutout or something.
I think so, something like around that. Then the Flyers only gave up 20 to 21, 22 shots on him for that. So it was basically just okay. This is easy pickings for me. I faced way more than this the previous game. Then you also got a comment from Jason here talking about the Detroit Red Wings. It's the Yzerman factor. Look at what happened in Tampa Bay. Yeah, Steve Yzerman knows how to find his rookies. So hopefully that will, for Detroit fans, hopefully the plan by Yzerman coming back to Detroit works out, because it's right now it does look like it is working with the way the team is playing. You got Kylo Green saying leave it to Ottawa to give Chicago their first win of the season. Yeah, leave it to Ottawa. Man. And I'm just looking at the I just continue looking at the Arizona Coyotes stats, and I'm just like, man, they are bad. They are bad.
And us talking about it gets me more excited for the game, because it's just like, come on, man. I just want the game to start. Like, I want them just to take care of business, pick up the win, and that's that. Just take care of business and win the game.
Do you think they're going to do something for Gostisbehere tomorrow, like a video tribute or something like that?
I don't see why they wouldn't. They 100% are for Voracek.
Yeah, Voracek is definitely going to get one. Even though
I already have tickets to that game.
Oh, I know. You told me that when the schedule was set.
Yeah, I'll be wearing my Voracek Czech Republic jersey to that game.
Yeah, when are they playing Columbus first? Isn't it like in January or something?
January 20th. It's actually my dad's birthday.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a Thursday, because they play the Red Wings Tuesday at home, Columbus Thursday at home.
Kylo, can you please not jinx it? Ghost Homecoming about to drop 3 points on us. Please don't jinx it.
Yeah.
I don't need to lose to the Arizona Coyotes. I just don't.
We don't need that.
I want to see their upcoming schedule too after the Flyers. Okay, so they play the Flyers tomorrow. Then they don't play until Friday and Saturday against Anaheim and Seattle. And then they don't play until Minnesota. So can you lose to the Flyers tomorrow, then wait until your first win until you play Anaheim or Seattle?
Yeah.
Just wait then.
Yeah. That's the thing. I really don't think it's going to be too much of an issue tomorrow. I haven't seen many of Arizona's games, but I just can't see the Flyers losing. The only way that I could is if they come out flat and they come out like they did against Calgary, but I don't see that happening. I just don't.
I hope you're right. I really, really hope you're right. And I want to go back to the defenseman, talk about the contract, well, not specifically with the Fox contract, but just in general, because like everyone is more looking towards like even what you brought up, Chris, like just the defenseman market in general, making that much money, especially for Fox coming out of his ELC. But when you look at the market that was set for it, starting this offseason, you got Jones getting that contract. But we brought up Werenski. You got Hughes getting his contract. You got Maher getting his contract. You got Dougie Hamilton getting his contract. So basically, at this point, for our number one defenseman, that's probably what it's going to cost now if they're good enough. That's most likely. And then for guys like Ryan Ellis, like when we talked about with the top four situation, like signing at home Yossi, and they had Subban at the time. Like even like you go back to those years, that definitely wasn't even close to the market value that it is right now. And the same thing with Provorov. It wasn't market value to sign a top defenseman, or especially coming out of his ELC, to that much money. Yeah. So appreciate those contracts while they last, ladies and gentlemen. Right. That's all you can say. And then imagine if Cam York comes up in like in the near future and he proves himself to be a bona fide number one defenseman. Imagine that. Imagine coming off of that ELC.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. I mean,
like if he puts up stats like Fox and Maher have and Heiskanen,
or if he wins a Norris,
or that.
Could you imagine
the Norris, the Calder, whatever, if that happens?
Right, it'd be crazy. But yeah, I mean, no. I think a lot of what this has to do is the Jones kind of talk, because again, when you look at it like that, as we talked about it earlier, like it set the market, and Jones hasn't necessarily had the best start in Chicago. They haven't played great. Did you see Fleury's comments?
I've not.
Like it's been tough to keep smiling.
Really?
I don't blame him. I mean, you're winless. Everything that's gone on in the organization in the past couple of weeks. It's just like
not a fun place to be.
It's just like a flaming ball of shit is happening in Chicago is essentially what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps getting lit on fire. Like there's just nothing good. I think they won the night.
Yeah, they just beat the Ottawa Senators, so they have their first win on the season. Yeah. But if just looking at some of their stats on the Chicago team, you got Marc-Andre Fleury. He's 5 games played, 5 games started, 0-5, 4.63 goals against, 8.72 save percentage. So yeah, like he isn't helping things either. But the entire team is just dog shit right now. Yeah. Seth Jones ironically leads the team in points with 7, but at a -10.
Yeah, Kane had a hat trick tonight too.
Ah, there you go. Yeah. So now he has 1 goal in the season, so that went to 4. So there you go.
Yeah, they haven't necessarily played great, but Kucherov being out for my fantasy team is such a bummer.
Really?
Yeah, I'm missing so many points, and I'm not dropping him because he's going to be back by like January, and there's no point. And it's just another guy that I can't pick up points from. And I lost this past week because of the thing that I can't stand about fantasy hockey for the NHL is the fact that I have so many guys playing one night and like 4 the next night. Then I have like a good handful, then nothing. It's like, dude, this past week, if there was like no games on, like Tuesday and Thursday, I had like half my lineup. Usually that's a full lineup. And then Saturday, there wasn't as many games. I'm like, dude, this is like such a bummer. And I ended up losing by like 3 points or something like that. I ended up coming back. But, yeah, like no Kucherov. It's hurting Tampa. But again, I think Tampa's going to find ways to win. How about this whole Eichel thing, too?
Oh, yeah.
We've been seeing Calgary's been kicking tires.
It was reported that Vegas and not Buffalo were very close on Friday actually to making a trade, but then it just went cold ever since. Mm-hmm. So right now it looks like the top 2 teams that are probably going to try to go after Eichel are Calgary and Vegas. But it's just like, I think the one issue right now that on Vegas's standpoint, they wanted Buffalo to retain salary, but Buffalo does not want to on that situation. So it's
only problem with Vegas right now. They just don't have cap.
Yep. So I want to look at the latest rumors too on Jack Eichel just to see if like anything has happened today. So go on Twitter just to see if any things have gone down lately. So we got a bunch of various memes on here. I don't think anything has been posted recently. I remember there was I forget which Twitter account it is, but they were posting, I forget. Oh, here we go. NHL watcher Friedman on the radio. He says, So this is what Friedman said. I think there's a real work being done in Buffalo to try and facilitate a trade. I do think Buffalo and Vegas are talking very seriously right now. And I think he posted something earlier this afternoon, or it was, I believe, yesterday. Okay, here we go. So Drager on TSN 1050 talking with teams interested in Eichel. There are a couple of teams that we believe remained involved. Vegas, of course, among them. Calgary, I think, has been more of a tire kicker. And then you look at other possibilities, then that seem to be less than those two. I honestly thought something was going to happen this weekend just based on the activity, the conversation, the feeling of it was close to this trade negotiation. So we'll see what happens in the next day or two. So, and this is another Friedman on TJMS. So I do know last week's talks with Vegas got pretty hot and then they cooled. One of the things that I have been told that really complicates things is that Buffalo is not going to retain salary. So that's basically making this entire situation for the trade really complicated.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, if you're Buffalo, why would you want to retain salary for a guy that probably isn't even going to play games this year if he gets traded because he still hasn't gotten the surgery yet? And yep. I don't know how long the recovery time is, but I think they were saying it was a good chunk of time. It's a surgery that's never been performed on an NHL player before. So, again, if Vegas gets him, which would be huge because that's another number one center that they already have guys like Stone. I'm just drawing a blank on who plays center for Vegas at the moment.
Carlson's out for 6 weeks because he just got a broken foot. So he's going to be out. Yeah. And I think I remember listening to Sirius XM talking about this too. They said Carlson could have been part of the trade, but the injury basically kicked him out of it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, they definitely are going to have to give up somebody to get him. They can't be all prospects and picks. So it's going to have to be one of their guys from their top six.
Joel Fairman saying Nolan Patrick. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like maybe they throw Patrick into the deal just as a throw-in. Just like, okay, Buffalo, here's another young guy, play on your team, get him for Eichel possibly. So you never know.
Yeah, and they've had a handful of guys hurt too. Tuck hasn't even played a game yet this year. He's out for a good little bit. Theodore's still hurt, I believe.
Yeah, but that team is just injured up the hell right now.
Yeah, I think Keegan Golzar was hurt too. But yeah, they had a good amount of guys that were hurt. So hopefully they can get back to form. I think it's another reason why they were 1-4 to start the year. Like they just weren't having the best start because they had so many guys injured.
Yeah, so yeah, Vegas, like they won their first game against Seattle, even though Seattle almost came back into that game. They tied it actually, but for Vegas, looking at their record once again, they are 4-4. They have actually won 3 straight, so they've been much better as of late. But injuries like continue to riddle that team, so that's going to be a major issue for them going forward, especially losing a guy like William Karlsson out 6 weeks, I believe, with a broken foot after blocking a shot, I think. So. You got Joel Fairman putting some mock trades in here saying Peyton Krebs, a first, Haig, and some other picks. I am calling it for Jack Eichel. Imagine. Yeah. And he thinks Vegas wants Nolan Patrick. So who knows? Who knows what the hell this trade is going to be involved? Oh, yeah. I think Anaheim was also involved in the rumors too as well.
I heard Silverberg.
You heard Silverberg?
That's what I heard was part of the deal, but it fell through. I heard Silverberg was kicking tires for the Ducks, yeah. And it's very odd with Anaheim because they're in that state where it's like they don't have. I feel like they could make the playoffs, but they're probably not going to just because they're just a weaker team. They're really young. Getzlaf is now their franchise leader in points, which is amazing.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, he's insane. I honestly think he's one of the more underrated guys in the league. So he's still a very good player. I mean, it reminds me of Kopitar. Like everybody just kind of in Doughty too. Everybody just kind of like, oh, these guys are terrible anymore. It's like no, their teams are bad. Like it doesn't help when Doughty legitimately hasn't had a legit defensive partner in probably like 4 or 5 years. And I think 3 of the 4 or the 5, however many years it was, I think it was a rookie or somebody else that just didn't necessarily fit with him. Like it's very tough on a guy like that. And I think there's other guys that have kind of struggled in that department as well, like Jones. He gets a lot of heat. He gets a lot of heat for his analytics and everything and this and that. But again, you got to look at Columbus, the way they play and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks. But again, I think Anaheim could make the playoffs. It's just like, because they have the goaltending. Everybody knows what Gibson.
Yeah.
And their defense isn't horrible. But we'll see.
Yeah, we got this interesting comment right here saying, hey guys, being European, I don't get why North American teams sometimes do not like to disclose the nature of some players' injuries. I think that was discussed in the CBA talks during the COVID break before the bubble playoffs. And I think they added something to the CBA, which was going to expire after that playoff run, which was so... I think just because everything going on with COVID, they're allowing, I guess, more injury talks and the reasons why players are going to be out. I think they're allowing that to be more private than anything, just because of everything that happened with COVID a year. Well, even though COVID's still technically going on, but when it was more bad and everything.
Right. When it was, the outbreak was worse. Yes.
Yes. There was an interesting comment right here. We got everyone's just for some reason trashing on Shane Wright in the comment section. Shane Wright equals wash, straight dog water. Yeah, Soto says Ducks are a wild card team, if anything, if they do make the playoffs. Then they were saying, Joel Fairman says, they said the deal breaker months ago was Vegas. Was that Vegas didn't want to trade Krebs. Buffalo's price is so cheap, nobody wants to meet the goals for some reason. Yeah. For my gut
I thought it was like, I didn't think it was that cheap. Wasn't it like 4 roster players and like 2 first-round picks?
That was what was originally. I think the price has been coming down just because of this whole injury and surgery situation, though.
Yeah,
and honestly,
the salary they probably want. You don't have to give up a lot, but it's probably like north of like 60% salary retain.
Probably,
and they don't want to do that.
Yeah, the thing, honestly, that I feel in my gut going with this, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this goes past Christmas if he's not traded.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's not like a Nylander thing where it just gets not. Obviously, it's a different situation because there was a deadline for that, but I don't want it to be like a continuous thing where it just prolongs everything, and then Eichel might not even be back for the start of next season. Then, if the injury and everything like that, so.
Yeah, at this point with the surgery that who knows how long that recovery process is even going to be. So that's even something that you have to wait for. Then you got a comment from Kylo Green saying, honestly surprised the Rangers aren't in talks anymore. Weren't they the front runners a little? I think during the everything when the Eichel sweepstakes began, the Rangers were definitely one of those teams that were interested in Eichel. I think Los Angeles was one of those teams as well. Vegas, of course, they got thrown in there. I think Tampa Bay was thrown in there as well. So also, Calgary is still one of those teams. They were in the talks for a while. I think Minnesota was one of those teams as well. So, yeah, Rangers, they definitely have a lot they could have offered to Buffalo for a guy like Eichel, but I guess they want to stick to what they were and just not give up all the things in the world for him.
No, for sure. Is the thing you don't want to give up too much for a guy who, again, might not even play this year.
Yeah.
So.
And if you're like with the Rangers and you're trying to make the playoffs this year, giving a lot of stuff for a guy that's probably not going to play this year might not be the best move.
Rangers have also played well.
They have. Shesterkin especially as well.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a pretty good start to the year. What are they, 5-2-1?
Yes, I believe they are.
Yeah.
I want to look at their stats as well, like specifically the goaltending, what Shesterkin has been doing. So he's 7 games played, 5-1-1. He is 5-1, 5-1-1, 1.7 goals against average, and a 9.47 save percentage and a shutout. And also, did you see the thing when they played the Columbus Blue Jackets? What Merz Lincolns did a little salute over to Shesterkin for the game.
And he was telling them to come back. I thought that was cool, but then again, I'm like, if I was a fan of the Blue Jackets, I'd be like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, let me think about it. Like, could you imagine if Carter Hart was telling the Flyers how everybody would shit their pants on Twitter and Facebook and everything? Just imagine it. Imagine he does it tomorrow. Just say it happens tomorrow against Arizona and the Flyers are up like, I don't know, 6-0 or something. Tells them to like come back. Like,
dude,
what the hell? Like, that would just be so weird. But like, dude, I just could not imagine being a fan of a team that tells you to, you know what I mean? I wonder if any of the players said anything about that. I don't know if it was like,
I'm not sure actually if they did.
yeah.
I know a lot of people did complain about what he did, but I'm just like,
And I thought another thing that was weird was everything that happened with him in that home game against the Stars. The fan that cheered,
about
kind of making
with
comments
the
about
fireworks. Yeah.
Yeah, like, dude, are you serious? Like, some people just think like things like that are funny
I know.
that aren't funny. It's just another moron just doing something completely stupid.
It's just people that just love to show their ugly mugs at this point.
Right.
I don't understand why that they just do it. It's apparently it's just a thing. Oh God. And there was something on Twitter that I just saw. Duncan Keith just scored. Patrick Kane got a hat trick. I'm gonna throw up.
That's funny.
And also, something that was pretty interesting with the Sixers game today, since they're playing the Portland Trailblazers, the Sixers crowd was chanting that they wanted Damian Lillard. And there was a comment from Lillard after the game saying, "The city of brotherly love. They showed me love." So, I know the Sixers, like, they've been big on trying to get that other person, like with the whole trade situation with Ben Simmons, but who knows how long that's.
Get rid of Simmons. Get Lillard here.
Yeah. You've got Joel Fairman saying, "We want Lillard," in all caps, saying it once again. Duncan Keith is washed.
False. I like Keith. Do you like Keith?
I still think he has something to provide to a team.
For sure.
He's definitely
not just on ice play.
Yeah, he's definitely nowhere close to what he once was, but I think he still has something to give to a team.
For sure. I mean, 3 cups, 2 gold medals, 2 Norrises. Come on.
Lillard would be nuts from Kylo Green.
How have they looked?
Edmonton,
The
the
Sixers.
Sixers.
They're 5-2.
I don't think Embiid.
Well, first of all,
Harris played
quick
today.
thing. What time was the game today?
I think it was 7 or 7:30.
Dude, it was over by like 9:15.
Yeah, the game was quick.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it really a 7 o'clock game? I was like, did this game start at 6 or like 5 or something? Like a weird time?
Yeah. Did you see the City Edition jerseys that the Sixers came out with?
Oh, those are beautiful.
I wonder if I want to show this to the other people that might not have seen this on the live
The court
streams.
looks great too.
Yeah, it does. It looks.
I would love for the Flyers to have some sort of jersey that goes back to the Spectrum.
Yeah,
like
so
if they had their alternate jersey, have like a Spectrum patch.
Yeah, so if people didn't see these jersey here from the Sixers that they revealed today, it's just an homage to the Spectrum, and it's absolutely beautiful.
And that's the thing. I would love for the Flyers to have some sort of jersey that goes back with the Spectrum, has that logo on it. Like, it would be awesome. Amazing. Like,
yeah, there was also a picture that I found on, I think it was, let me go to my Twitter page and let me just find that. And look, there we are, live streaming right there.
Oh, nice.
Where is the? Oh, here it is. The Phantoms throwback, the Phantoms like Spectrum jersey when they wore that. And it's retweeted by the famous Flyers goal scored by Twitter account. Right, yo,
Flyers.
Yeah, yo, the Flyers.
It's funny.
Yeah, those are absolutely beautiful. I wonder if with Adidas if they do like a reverse retro collection again, or they just allow teams to go a full creative route and you get to do anything you got them want with the jerseys.
Well, that's what the Heat did. They the players picked the font and the numbers, which I thought was sick. And like Jimmy Butler has like 2 different font and color 2s on the back of his jersey, which looks so cool.
Yeah,
looks like he has like the 2012 font, like from when they won the championship, but then like their pink jersey, on the other 2, which I think it looks cool. I wish the NHL would do that, but
yeah,
they probably won't.
Yeah, Joel Fairman saying no cool jerseys from the Flyers.
I if I'm being honest with you, I didn't really think many of the city jerseys looked nice. The Sixers one was cool. Some of them were just like the same kind of designs. The one I did like was the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams just brought back the designs they had from last year. I remember the Timberwolves
like the Suns
were the same.
literally
The
had
Suns
the
are
exact
the
same
same.
thing.
I think the Mavericks might be the same. I'm not entirely sure. There was one jersey where I just did not know what team it was until I had to zoom in on the logo. It was like, oh, this is the Cavaliers. I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
It was like funny too. I saw a comment saying for that specific Cavs jersey saying, I didn't know it was a Cavs jersey, but all I had to see was the Goodyear symbol. And it was just like, okay, that's a Cavs jersey.
It's funny. That's the thing. I wish the NHL would kind of do something like that, where every year you have the jersey that it's like updated or whatever. It's an alternate kind of thing. Like they don't really update the alternate jerseys. I mean, the Flyers they have the blacks. Aren't they actually wearing the black jerseys tomorrow?
Yeah, they might be.
I think they are.
Yeah, I don't remember the alternate jersey schedule at all. So if you look that up real quickly, even Joel Fairman even says even baseball has some 6 jerseys. Yeah, I do think the NHL needs to adapt to something eventually like that. Eventually, I know with the NFL they do the color rush jerseys on Thursday night football, so maybe the NHL could, especially with Adidas, they are showing that they want to be a little more fun with the jerseys and with the reverse retro collection. Yeah, I think they're doing a classic jersey edition thing that's coming out this year. I don't think teams are wearing them. They're just like releasing throwback jerseys of specific teams. So
yeah, the Flyers are wearing the black jersey tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And they are 0-1 with that jersey. And they actually, in recent years, they've actually lost a lot of games wearing that jersey.
I honestly thought they won more with that jersey than not.
Really?
They were. I feel like they have recently.
I feel like the 18-19 season, I legitimately thought every game they wore that they lost. I'm not kidding. There was a couple games even in 1920 where they wore that and they lost.
Yeah, no, Joel Fairman asking a World Series question. Am I supposed to be rooting for Atlanta or Houston? And then Soto says Atlanta. Houston fans are so full of themselves.
Who do you think wins?
That's the thing. I really want to see Atlanta choke so badly just because it runs with the city's tradition of choking.
But it's also the Astros.
But that's the thing. The Astros are very fun to watch. But then both teams are very fun to watch. But I'm just
but you don't know if they're cheating or they're not.
They're not cheating this time. They're not.
Come on. Everybody said that in 17 too. And they were and all in all, they were cheating the entire time. I wouldn't be surprised if they still do it. I don't know. I don't know anything about baseball.
It's a Phillies fan inside me that doesn't want the Braves to win, but then also you see how good the Braves are. You see Freddie Freeman. Hopefully he gets a ring because who knows if he even goes into free agency this year, if he even resigns with Atlanta. And it's still fun to watch too. Even this team is doing this without Ronald Acuna Jr. So that's the one thing I do think is going to hurt the Braves is their starting pitching in these last two because they don't have Charlie Morton. I think that's something that's going to hinder them, but their bats really need to step it up because they kind of choked yesterday after getting off to that very hot start with the grand slam in the beginning. But hopefully, let's see what happens. I think, was it tomorrow and Wednesday or game 6 and 7?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, joy. I don't get to watch that game because of the Flyers, but hopefully I don't miss a World Series because every year I have to watch who wins the World Series every year. So
yeah, that would suck if the Flyers end up losing and then you miss the World Series win.
I can always that's the thing. I like watching it live. That's the one problem. I watch it live since basically every year probably since the Phillies won the World Series. So yeah, I watched them win the World Series, and of course you watch the Yankees win the World Series.
The one that I watched the most was 2020 because there was nothing else on besides the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted the Dodgers to win, and I don't know why, but they're just the team I was watching, and I'm like, dude, go Dodgers. I don't know why, but I wanted them to win. And Tampa had some couple good games in that series where they tied it, and then I was like, they might actually win this thing. But
yeah, I think I watched it I might not have watched it in 2009 just because I was pissed off and they're probably losing this game. I turned it off and went to bed probably. Yeah. But then 2010 I saw the Giants win it, 2011 the Cardinals. That series actually pissed me off, the Cardinals Rangers series, just because the Rangers had so many chances to win that game 6 and they choked it.
Yeah. You had the triple off the wall. It's dude.
You had the Red Sox winning in 2013, 2012 was the Giants, 2014 was the Giants, Royals in 15, 16 was the Cubs against that amazing game 7. Then you got the Astros in 17, Red Sox in 18, 19 Washington. For some reason that slipped my mind.
Dodgers.
20 Dodgers, and then whoever wins it this year. So Kylo says, bro, I was so down bad during COVID. He was watching Korean baseball. Yeah,
that's funny.
So another question from Mike going back to the Flyers, talking about Atkinson on the top power play unit, Yandel out. The one thing that does concern me a little bit on the power play is Provorov going to the top unit because, he hasn't looked the best playing the point on the power play. So I wonder how that's going to work out. But then they showed on the second power play unit was Ristolainen was going to be on the right side, I believe. And JVR was going to be in that front.
Yeah. Atkinson was on the right side. G was on the left. And
Provy
I
on the
like
point.
that. It's another shooter.
And then Couturier is net front, and I'm assuming Konechny's the guy in the slot, or he's playing his same position, like around the net somewhere.
Yeah. Probably. But again, I like the units. I think it's different. Switch it up, see what you can do. And again, it's not like the power play has played bad. It's just there's different units and things like that. And if they're able to use it and be able to build on that and see what they can do. Because again, you're still early in the year, so you want to be able to find anything that can continue to click. And the power play, it looked good. It just didn't score as much. Maybe they're looking for more scoring. I don't know. But AV did mention he wanted to see some more guys and also wanted to reward some guys and give them more time and bump them up a unit like you do with Atkinson and things like that. So we'll see what happens.
Ristolainen from Joel Fairmeme saying Ristolainen is too busy looking sexy to play good defense with a good old shiner on his face from the getting hit by the puck.
I think Rista's played well. He's had his moments where he doesn't look great, but I think overall, I think he's played some good games.
Yeah, I don't think he's played he's made a couple of bad mistakes. I don't think he's played outright terribly. I think he's been okay to start the season. But
that, again, as we mentioned, the Sanheim Risto pairing, that was their best game of the season against Vancouver back on Thursday.
And we got Mike saying this will be an interesting for sure power play. How about the East? This year is going to be ridiculous for the amount of clubs getting 90 plus points to miss the playoffs. Yeah, if you were here at the beginning of the podcast, we brought up the Metropolitan Division, how everyone right now from first to eighth place is at 500 or below or above 500. So you got Carolina 16 points in first place. You got the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're 3-2 in eighth. So basically, right now, every team is playing good to start the season, but we don't know how that's going to go down as the season progresses. Is a team like Columbus eventually going to fall off? Are the Devils eventually going to play better?
The Rangers?
Are the Islanders going to spark up a little bit from their 3-2 start? I think that's still affecting them not playing at home at all.
Right.
The Rangers, are they going to continue this hot start? Is Carolina going to die down eventually? So there's a lot of question marks still, but a lot of teams are still. It's going to be a tough division regardless. That's why the Metro is the toughest division in the league.
Right.
And
sure.
I kind of do hate that the Flyers are in this division. So good old Metropolitan Division. Just ridiculous at this point. As Soto says, Risto is going to get a Gordie Howe hat trick tomorrow. This is his best chance against the Coyotes. So
it'd be funny. Could you imagine?
Yeah, Ristolainen is a meth head. He needs to be paired with Justin Braun. Oh boy, the good old Yuri Latero and the what was it that he did? What was he suspected of being arrested for? Was it a cocaine dealer or something like that? Mm-hmm. For some reason, that just sparked in my mind.
Yeah, the other one was Medvedev had a DUI.
Mm. Yeah, that was the sole reason why the Flyers were able to get rid of Latera because of that entire situation.
Right. Man, what a team.
Yeah, what a team, what a franchise that is the Philadelphia Flyers. So we're getting closer towards the hour mark. I think we'll go over some scores in the National Hockey League, look at the games that are for tomorrow, then end off this beautiful podcast. So the games that were from today and one that is still going on. So the Chicago Blackhawks, they get their first win of the season, beating the Ottawa Senators 5-1. They are now 1-7-2 on the season, while Ottawa is 3-5. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they beat the Washington Capitals 3-2. So Tampa Bay is now 5-3-1, while the Caps are 5-1-3. The Oilers and the Kraken are currently playing as we speak. At the end of the second period, the Oilers are winning 3-1. Looking at the games tomorrow, of course, you got the Flyers and the Arizona Coyotes at 7 p.m. Flyers 4-2-1. Coyotes winless to start the season. They are 0-8-1. That's desperately a must-win for the Flyers. Other games, you got the Toronto Maple Leafs with the Vegas Golden Knights at 7 p.m. You got the Montreal Canadiens facing the Detroit Red Wings at 7. Got the Minnesota Wild playing the Ottawa Senators at 8 p.m. Winnipeg Jets playing the Dallas Stars at 8. The Calgary Flames look to continue their win streak against the Nashville Predators at 9. The New York Rangers continued their Western Conference road trip against the Canucks at 10 p.m. The New Jersey Devils, they're also on the West Coast trip playing the Anaheim Ducks at 10. And the Buffalo Sabres, they will be playing the San Jose Sharks at 10:30. And there are actually a couple of ESPN Plus Hulu exclusive games tomorrow, specifically with those 10 o'clock and 10:30 games, Devils, Ducks, and Sabres, Sharks being exclusive to ESPN Plus and Hulu. So we got Laterra is actually doing great in the KHL. Oh, interesting. Oh, Joel, I thought you said meth head, not meat. I didn't see you say meathead. For some reason, I read your comment as meth head. Joel saying that Drew didn't score on Saturday. He needs to be stripped of the captaincy and traded for Jonathan Taves, someone who really knows how to lead a team. Too soon, man. Too soon.
All the G haters will be like, yep, I agree.
Exactly. By the way, do you guys watch any European hockey? I do not.
Sometimes.
I know, Chris, I think you do something on the occasion, right?
Yeah, at times if I can catch a SHL game or a KHL or anything like that, I try to catch as much as I can. Like if Fedotov's playing or Emil Andre in the SHL.
How has Andre looked? How has Andre looked actually?
I think he's had a pretty decent start to the year. I know Oli Lixel has had a pretty good season as well. But yeah, I think Andre's been playing well. Not as I think he's honestly had more of an offensive push this year, but being honest, I'm not 100% sure. I don't like when the Flyers are on and the prospects are playing in the Phantoms, it's hard for me to keep up. But like last year when the Flyers didn't play from like October to really January when they started, that's when I was watching college and I watched essentially every game York played for Michigan. I watched them a lot last year, and even just other college games because I actually bought the Big Ten Network, and then all the games were on, and there was no fans. It was cool, but it was also kind of weird at the same time. Like Michigan was just a wagon last year, and really they still are.
Like when does college hockey start up again?
It already has started. They're
Okay.
playing now. Mm-hmm.
How is Bobby Brink doing anything? Or has
I
he?
think he hasn't had as much of an offensive start to the year, but I think he's looked pretty good. I know he still plays top line minutes. With Denver, he has 9 points in 6 games.
Okay.
That is, find it, 3 goals, 6 assists.
Not that bad.
He's +9 is 4 penalty minutes, so he's had a pretty decent start to the year. But he's one of the guys that I really want to see take a huge jump, and I think he could do that. And it will be nice to see Brink down in the Phantoms next year, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully that does happen. So we are getting over the hour mark, so that is probably going to do it for this episode of the Florida Podcast. The Flyers have an important game tomorrow against the winless Arizona Coyotes. Hopefully they can not fall for the trap game and get a huge W tomorrow, leading off into Pittsburgh and the Washington Capitals on the road trip at the end of the week. So thank you, everyone, for joining this edition of the Florida Up Podcast. If you didn't catch the live stream line, you tuned in late, it'll be on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts at. And also just check out all the places that we've been streaming on our separate YouTube channels. For me, TTB Sports, for Chris, Flyers Fan Mania 93. Also the Painted Lines, check them out wherever they are. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever they are at. Also our separate Twitter accounts for me, Amedeo Grassia 98 _ Chris Maher for Chris. Also the Florida Pod's Twitter account. You can check that out. Also the Florida Pod merch website is in the link description below. Definitely don't forget to check those out. So thank you, everyone. This edition of the Florida Podcast. I'm your host, Amedeo Grassia. He is Chris Maher, and we will see you next time.